when I was turning 18, my mother just presented me the letter, and in the letter I just read, "Oh, Ivan, you are being drafted to 1 year of mandatory Russian military." For me, it was fun. It was full of funny stories, but for mostly of guys, it wasn't fun. It was like a prison. Maybe prison is better because in prison nobody forces you to work all day, not like in Russian army.
All right, guys, I'm here with
Ivan Guapo.
Ivan Guapo, and we're right now in the Philippines. And so, Ivan, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Ivan, I'm 22 years old. I'm volunteering here in Orange Carinderia in SM City in Cebu Island, Philippines.
And how long have you been here for?
I think 4 months, yeah?
4 months. And where have you been staying? All in Cebu?
I was also in Manila, in Limasawa Island in Leyte, but Cebu is the best. Cebu is like, it's not the capital. It's like in Russia, we have the capital Moscow, and it's so dirty and crowded like Manila. And my city, St. Petersburg, is like Cebu.
Okay, so yeah, talk about what life was like back at home before you decided to come out here to the Philippines. You can hold it.
Yeah. Life is good. Usually, always life is good, but you know, after war has started, so many things changed, and that's why I'm here. One of the reasons. Also, it's not so hot in my city, especially in the winter time, but that's why we met here.
And so you have a unique perspective to share because you actually did some military service
Yeah.
when you were at home in Russia, and that was a couple years ago, is that right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about what that was like, what that experience was?
Yeah, of course. It was maybe 3 years ago. It's mandatory in my country, so when I was turning 18, my mother just presented me the letter, and in the letter I just read, "Oh, Ivan, you are being drafted to 1 year of mandatory Russian military." For me, it was fun. It was full of funny stories, but for mostly of guys, it wasn't fun. It was like a prison. Maybe prison is better because in prison nobody forces you to work all day, not like in Russian army. And if you want to ask me about the payments, it's like $20 per month. That's it.
So, yeah, so how many months of service did you do at that time? And this is before there was any war, right?
Yeah, I was exactly for 12 months, for 1 year. It was before the war, and after I came back, coronavirus started, then war, everything. And to be honest, I just forgot how we lived before I left to Russian army. Before I left, it was wow. It was World Championship in Russia in 2018. We just finished the school. It was the best summer ever. And when I returned, whoa, everything is so great. So, but here in Philippines, it's so brightful, you know, from people, from so many islands, and people here are really kind.
Yeah, especially because of the English here, it makes it very easy to be an expat.
Yeah.
Or to travel, just to live. It's the transition is like one of the simplest transitions culturally that you could have. If you're coming from, if you speak English, you know, fluently.
Yeah. And even for me, it didn't make sense, but when I came here, I just recognized that it's only one Catholic country in the Asia.
True.
Yeah, only one country in Asia who has a second official language English. Or maybe Singapore, I don't know. Yeah, it's so good.
I guess you're right. Like Singapore would be the only other country in Southeast Asia, whose first language is English. Yeah. And so when you were, you know, at home in Russia,
Yeah.
like what, in the months leading to this decision to come here to the Philippines, what was the catalyst that caused you to actually travel here and live here?
I understand your question, bro.
Yeah.
I was thinking about moving to Philippines after war started, and then after our president started to draft young guys like me, who were in Russian army like 2 years ago, draft us to the war. Of course, all of us we just needed to hide or to go to another countries. So, at the end of the last year, yeah, I went to Philippines. it was great decision because now, like, the newest, the freshest law is like if you are being drafted, if they send you some letters or some notifications, even you don't see it, you cannot go out of country. I don't know how it works, nobody knows, but we'll see if it's true or not.
So they sent you something in the so they sent you something in the mail basically calling you back.
Yeah.
And since you had done service recently when you were 19, right?
Yeah.
Because you're 22 now. It was kind of a similar time as when you got the draft initially, right? Like where you just get a letter in the mail and you should report
Yeah.
to military service.
Yeah.
And what was going through your mind, I guess, when you got that letter again, the second time?
Of course, I understand that I'm not going to the war. So many reasons why I'm not supporting it. I have a Ukrainian friend. I was in Ukraine also, in Crimea, the territory that we stole.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
2014.
yeah, by the way, I was there before 2014 and after, when it was already Russia, no difference, only currency. And I asked some old people who lived there for all their life. I asked what is better in Ukraine or in Russia. They told me fuck off, it was better in Soviet Union. So
But the cultures are similar.
yes, of course, we were brothers, and I hope one day we can still become brothers again, because I think government in every country sucks, as we were talking about it with you, and people almost in every country are awesome, same in Russia. That's why so many people leave the country, because they don't want to participate in the shit. But unfortunately, so many people don't have enough funds to leave the country. Or they have just one work here, all family here, and they need to fill it up. So for someone it can be harder.
So maybe one of the big prerequisites to leave would be both a passport and maybe the money
Yeah.
to exit the country.
Yeah.
Because if you were missing these two things, there's really no hope for you to leave. And even if you're conscripted, if you don't have the passport or the money, there's no way you're going to be able to get out of Russia during that time.
And also some people who will believe in our president for all their life, it's so hard to them to change minds. And sometimes they're like, oh, no, he's not gonna do that shit. Obviously, no. And next day he does it. And they're not surprised. But still, they're not leaving the country. I don't know why.
So how do you feel that Russians think about the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? Because you're from St. Petersburg, your perspective might be a little bit different. How do you think most Russians feel about the current conflict?
My city, St. Petersburg, by the way, is the most beautiful city in the world. Comes there after war ends. I will invite all of you guys. It's the most It's only one European city. It's the most open-minded city. So of course, at least in my city, maybe 10% people support war. Like older generation whose brain washed for all their lives from TV, and you cannot judge them. If they like watch TV all their life, no internet, nothing, no arguments about politics, okay. But like 90%, they have a European point of view on that shit. So of course, the same. I think the same as you think, as my Ukrainian friend thinks. That's the same.
Yeah, maybe it's more like the rural parts of Russia, like because you're from a city, maybe they're a little more open to like other perspectives in the world. Because I do know for a lot of people, they feel that it's just like a military operation happening there and not like a full-scale war.
It's only because of propaganda. Because I think, for me, in my opinion, Russia right now spends more money on propaganda than on really weapons and patrons and guns, everything. Because, whoa, the things they do, it's so crazy. So, also, yeah, you mentioned that I live in city. Some people who live in countrysides, some of them don't even have radio. And if we are talking about Russia, the biggest country in the world, some people who live in eastern part, I think they don't even know about this conflict. Even they think it's war or operation, they they don't fucking care. Like people in Vladivostok, you know where Vladivostok is, near Cebu.
Yeah.
I think they don't care.
Too far.
Yeah, too far. And also another worse thing about it, as the war isn't going more than 1 year, and at the beginning, everyone in Europe and Russia was like, "Oh, what's going on?" It was everywhere, and now people are being used to it.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
You get complacent.
Yeah, like every day you're like waking up, checking the news, but it's not so surprisingly for you. It's so bad.
Yeah, I can remember in the very beginning of the conflict, it was a huge deal. Like, it was really surprising news. And at the time, I was in Spain, or sorry, not Spain, I was in Colombia. I was in Medellin, and all the people at my Spanish school are European. And to them, the sky was falling. Like, it was really intense. And it was shocking news because for the longest time, post 1991 Soviet Union collapse, we hadn't really seen Russia like launch any major offenses like that. And I think it was shocking, but it's strange to see how complacent we've gotten since then. How it's just another news article. Less and less, it shows up less in my feed, I guess, every day. You kind of have to search for it now if you want to be up to date with what's happening.
Yeah, and like also for example, you know Boris Johnson?
Who? Boris Johnson. Yeah.
Boris Johnson. Like some politics, they are not so popular in the moment. They just starting to talk something about Ukraine, about helping Ukraine, and then the population goes popularity. Yeah, excuse me, not population.
Russia's population's
No,
going
no,
up.
no, 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 no. We are missing our Chinese guy. No, no, no. No population going up. Excuse me. So it's more about politics right now. But still, you need to remember that it's also about human lives from Russian side, from Ukrainian side. And I am so proud of people who really help, not only talk, really help. Like, for example, I was watching some YouTube about some center in Poland that helps Ukrainian people like with food, with accommodation, with something. And on that random video, it was like 20 seconds, I saw my teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from
Whoa.
camp.
Whoa.
It was so good. I was so proud of him.
Wow. That's cool. What year of school? The teacher from which year of school was that?
It was like more teacher from camp. Yeah,
Camp. Oh, okay, I see.
yeah. So even he's from Georgia, he also has Russian passport, but still he's helping. Only because he has kind heart. So shout out to him.
Yeah.
He'll watch it.
There's a lot of support, it seems, in the Eastern European countries for Ukraine.
Yeah.
I mean, despite the overwhelming support from the West in general, but those countries are maybe sacrificing the most, like, and proportionally giving some of the most money as well
Yeah.
to Ukraine.
But as I told you before, my generation will be the people who will give money back. All of this money that Eastern Europe and West give to Ukraine, we'll give it back like, what's the word? When you defeat the war and you need to give money back. Reparations. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the reason I wanted to have this conversation with Ivan is because when I last came to Southeast Asia, which was in 2019, the atmosphere was a lot different over here. When I was in Indonesia just a month ago, there were a lot of Russians and a lot of Ukrainians, either evading conscription or are just refugees from the war. Right now, like in Ukraine, they might live in a place that's not completely affected, but it's still complicated and not easy to live. Whether you're close to where the front line is or whether you're far away from it, the prices have gone up. Life is harder, basically, in Ukraine. And so that has like caused me to think a lot more about the conflict, because in the West, over in the United States, I do feel a bit detached from what's going on. But then coming here to Southeast Asia, the atmosphere has changed a lot. Now, Russian tourists in Bali, Indonesia, are the second biggest tourist group after Australians, and could potentially be the biggest tourist group later on this year. and the atmosphere is a lot different over here in Southeast Asia because of this.
Russians are everywhere right now, especially in Armenia, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and some of them are in Philippines. Not so many.
Less here, huh? There are fewer here than maybe like Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam.
Yeah, we are starting to act like Jewish people, just live everywhere. I can say that because I have Jewish roots, so I can make jokes about that.
Yeah. So, I'll tell us a little bit about like how you've started your life here. So, for context, we're here at the restaurant that Ivan works at, and he first started to work for a hostel. Is that right?
Yeah. Just volunteering for Hostel, and then maybe last Saturday started to volunteer here. So nice places. We will show you the hostel later, by the way. So here is like, if you visit Philippines, especially Cebu, you need to go here just to try Filipino food. Was it delicious?
Oh, it's really good. Everything is fried though. Everything is fried.
It's not only because of this place. It's everywhere in Philippines, you know. So big plate of rice, everything is fried. That's the way how we eat it.
I think I'm starting to grasp Filipino culture slowly. All right, and this is my perspective. Like, there's a lot of singing. Like, a lot of Filipinos like to sing, just like not. They don't take it too serious. Just like when they're walking around or waiting for something, they'll sing. They all have like pretty good singing voices. They love basketball. Here. Oh my God.
We can speak about it.
Yeah, the love for basketball is crazy here.
Yeah, I went to Philippines, and on my second day at Philippines, I wanted to play soccer. So I just went to the only one field in the city. Of course, nobody plays soccer in Philippines. Even they call it soccer, not football like we do.
Yeah.
And but I just met.
That's the Americanization, isn't it, too? That they use. Yeah, exactly. And you'll hear a lot of Spanish, too. It's strange, like English and Spanish are really prevalent, and we're in Asia. And I think that was what was most shocking to me when I came here.
So I just went here to play soccer. Nobody plays soccer. But I just met a basketball team just from national school. And since then, for 4 months, we are training together. We are like family. We went to Manila. We are going to south of this island on Monday. They just became champions of all Philippines, and I was the main supporter. So it's another good thing about Philippines. It's so easy to communicate.
Yeah.
And people here are so kind. Like, for example, those people who work here, like waiters or chefs, when they just mention that I am walking to the restaurant, they just gave me some coins for jeepney. And like every time they see I am not feeling good, like right now, feeling sick, they give some like paracetamol or something like that. And always ask, no, how are you? Take care, everything. So good. Not so. Some people, of course, here when they see white people, they want some money. It's not good, but it's everywhere, and it's easy to predict, to recognize. But mostly people who act like this, they're made from gold. And it's the whole country, the whole population of Philippines. Wow.
Me and Ivan were walking to Burger King, I think 2 nights ago, and in Cebu City, there's like this street with a lot of prostitutes, and they're all talking to us.
Yeah.
There is something about like when you walk around being white, they think that you want to buy something, but besides that, though, the point you made is really good. Like, it's really easy to actually feel in touch with this culture.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because of like the westernization of the culture, like they already are kind of aware of our culture, or because of the English allows us to like have a deeper interaction. Like from time in Vietnam and Thailand and Indonesia, I feel a connection, but here it's a really deep connection, I think I feel with the people.
Maybe it's because of Spanish colonization. Who knows? But you remember when we were walking to Burger King? We were walking like through that girl. She was standing maybe in half of meter.
Yeah.
What did she do?
She just screamed at us. Yeah. Like she tried to pretend like she was on her phone, and right as we walked past, there was like an alarm going off. She was like, "Hey," and we were like, "Whoa, oh my god!" Like, is that how she sells? It's not a good selling technique, you know.
Of course, it's make people piss off.
Yeah.
Like also in Greenwich or choking, maybe you mentioned like people who ringing bells all the time. It's so annoying.
Yeah. So just in the mall today, I saw the lady ringing the bell, and it's like it's like off, like the mosquito spray off. When I hear that, I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta avoid that part, you know. Especially when you go to buy something and they just like stare at you and put like the pressure on. It doesn't for us, because in the West, like they're indifferent when they sell something to you, and here they're like really conscious of the sale. But it doesn't work for me. It must work for someone, like we were saying, like because this type of selling, it's a hard sell, but somebody's got to be buying. Otherwise, they would switch it up. But
Of course.
but the bells, I don't understand.
Me also, because like when I'm standing and bringing people inside the restaurant, I'm just standing, smiling. When they pass me, I just do like this. And usually they starting to smile, sometimes they laugh, sometimes they go inside, but it's never like, oh, sir, boss, come in. No.
Yeah, that's how they're trying to sell the massage to you, you know? Yeah. They'll start trying to like massage. You're like, oh, okay, I'm just walking to the mall. Okay, what other things about Filipino culture have you noticed?
Nice question. Let me think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think about what other like big cultural differences I've seen.
Like it's open-minded, like USA, so many LGBT, so many ladyboys. Ladyboys are usually hunting for ours, but we never go for it.
Oh my god.
We always escape.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting mix of American culture, some Chinese maybe.
Oh, you know, great point talking about the ladyboys.
Yeah.
Because they love alcohol here.
Oh really?
Yeah, like the parties,
Yeah.
the drinking. Don't you feel that that's kind of like a big part of the culture?
Yes. Like the most common way of drinking, you just have one glass. You have local beer, Red Horse, 6.9. You already tried it, and you just pour it. There is a gunner who always pours it, and everybody who is in a circle in the table just drink it. Another one. And if you are too slow, if you are too dugay, I just say you tagay, and you need to finish it. So it's more about like common feelings, common pleasure. You never see Filipino who is drinking beer alone. And if you are a foreigner or you just met, even if you just met him and you are Filipino, he will say you, oh, let's drink together. The same situation with foreigners, because some of them want to sell you something, but mostly they just want to show how Philippines are. Shows the hospitality.
Yeah, they seem to genuinely enjoy interacting with us.
Yeah.
Which is really cool for us. And the drinking culture, it is like pleasure. You use that word because that is kind of like the theme here.
Yeah.
Like people like the fried food. You know, they like to have a nice couple of beers. The music, they like to sing.
Couple of beers is nothing in Philippines.
Yeah, and that's what's strange because I just come from Indonesia, and there they don't really drink that much, really, like not to this extent. But here they're like very aware of like the party scene. They like to go out, and I guess maybe even more in the city. But that's a big cultural difference I see here, you know.
Yeah, and about Filipino culture also, you mentioned that they're great singers. Almost in every home, even if the family very poor, they have karaoke station.
It's true.
Yeah, and sometimes they sing and all countryside hears it and it's good.
Yeah.
And another thing about Filipino who are very easy to communicate, on my third day or maybe fourth day in Philippines, fourth night, I just celebrated Happy New Year with Filipino family, and it was good. They have some traditions, interesting traditions, exclusive, not like in my country. For example, when it's like 12 ring of bells, you need to take all of your money and shake it for all the time.
Oh, cool.
So maybe it will give you some money in future.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Filipino culture, balut.
Oh.
Yeah, let's talk about balut a little bit. Yeah.
Did you try it?
Oh yeah, we tried it together. That was my first time trying it at Hostel 7. So they basically get like an egg, and instead of taking it early from the chicken, or I think they do take it and they incubate it somewhere else.
Maybe.
So they basically let it develop for an extra like 16 to 18 days. And what you get is like almost like an embryo, like an almost full egg. And they eat this warm. Yeah.
Before I tried it, I didn't want it because it's embryo, it's living bird, living duck. But now I'm like, we are talking about balut, and I want to find that guy who is selling balut on the street.
Comes around on the bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes around on the bicycle and balut, and it's really cheap too. I'm sure it doesn't cost very much. I think it's all in the mind for that one.
Yeah.
Because him and I had it. In reality, it's kind of tasty. Like, it was fine. You crack open the top, you salt it a little bit, maybe put a bit of vinegar in there. It tastes good, like just like a normal egg, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's give you many calories, really.
Many what?
Calories.
Oh, calories,
It's
yeah.
energetical.
Yeah.
You just have.
Yeah, there's probably more protein than in the normal egg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also about Filipino culture, almost everything is small. Sometimes you're like, I need to eat from this little plate, but sometimes you are good with it because, wow, only in Asia, only in Philippines, I saw like selling cigarettes for only one cigarette, and sometimes it's so convenient. If you will buy all pack, you smoke all day and you will be addicted to it, but maybe sometimes when you drink with Filipinos, you want to smoke, you just buy one or two for your friend also, smoke, and that's it.
So you'll see, like walking around, there'll be a guy selling singles. He's got all types of cigarettes, and you can buy one for I think 10 peso,
Yeah.
which is 20 cents like per cigarette. That's something I don't think I've ever seen. Yeah, normally you have to buy like the full pack, but he'll just walk around to a bunch of the same areas every day, and you can buy literally one, 20 cents each.
Yeah, and there are also like smaller packs for 10 cigarettes maybe, also like 90 peso. Not so expensive.
And how do the prices here in the Philippines compare to Russia? Because, for instance, for me, obviously coming from the States, things are a fraction of the price, maybe 1/4. In general, about 1/4. The only thing that is like the same price would be like the transport. Transport's a big expense here in the Philippines. So like plane, ferry, that can be pretty expensive, especially compared to the rest of Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
But then other things are really cheap here. So like alcohol, for instance, is wildly cheap, much cheaper than like Indonesia and maybe not Vietnam, but yeah, like you can buy a bottle of liquor for like $2 to $3 here. But how does it compare to Russia?
We need to manage some selling alcohol abroad here. We will make money. Yeah. For me, it's so easy because 100 of Philippine peso is 140 of my currency. So you see, even Philippines economy is better and richer than Russia. So yeah, it's so easy to convert, and sometimes you can just buy chocolate for 13 peso. Yeah. Is that one Choco Mucho? Yeah, Choco Mucho, connect with us. Free advertisement right now, hey. And some other stuff you can eat for $1, but I think it's everywhere in Asia.
Yeah, I would say so. And how does your currency convert? And what's the process like for you if you want to get your...
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand your question, and I don't understand Western politics who are like, you're leaving your country, you're not supporting the war? Okay. It will be impossible for you to use your credit card. It will be hard for you to go in Europe and to get visa. It will be hard for you to convert money. Why you do like that? So, you see, in government, SOs in government, not only in Russia, everywhere. So the way how I convert my money is the only one option for me. It's to convert it to USDT dollars by crypto, then to convert it for crypto peso, then to ask someone to send it to my bank account, to Gcash, if you know something about that.
Yep.
And only then to cash out from ATM or just use my credit card. And I think I lose like money twice on commissions and taxes, but it's the only way how we can do it.
Yeah, so it's quite a process. And there's several times where you lose like a percentage of your money when you make those conversions. So it's like a couple percent loss 2 separate times. And I hear this is mostly how they're doing it, especially with the crypto.
Yeah.
It seems to be the starting point for most people, right?
Yeah. So now I'm starting to know something about crypto. Yeah, maybe.
You have to.
Yeah, I have to really. But like with all these restrictions and sanctions, Russians can handle it. Like we are so old in that shit. Like we're really used to it. So better not make new sanctions for Russians, for usual Russians. Make it for politics, oligarchs, or some people like that.
Yeah, I always found that a little bit disturbing, that the sanctions hurt the Russian people.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe this big bank doesn't want to support the war, but what the government's activities are, their foreign affairs, you have no responsibility or say in any of that, but you're the one who gets punished. And there's something that just seems totally wrong about that.
Yeah, I'm going to be punished in my country to go to the war. If I leave, I'm going to be a little punished here. So I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me like what a privilege it is to earn your money in US dollar.
Yeah.
You know, because if you live in Brazil, if you live in Russia, like that conversion, the story of how you convert the money, you know, from beginning to end, it's such a long process, you know.
Yeah, but if you earn money, for example, you earn money in US dollars and you go to Philippines, you'll be king here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why not? Why not? Come to Philippines, guys.
Yeah, beautiful country. If that's another thing talking about the Philippines, it's just this massive island landscape. So the beauty that you can see here, the color of the water, it is some of the most beautiful landscapes I've ever seen in my life. Like some countries you come for the culture, some countries you come for the beauty. This country you get both sides.
Yeah, it's like more than 7,000 islands. And don't go only to touristical places like Palawan, El Nido, Boracay. Go to some other islands because they are not so touristic, they are not so famous, but maybe those tiny islands are even better. Not so many tourists, prices are not so high because of tourists. Maybe you will be just one man, like Robinson Crusoe. Ah, by the way, I want to make it. Like maybe to grab one girl or one lady boy with me for 1 month and go to the island and to survive. Maybe at the end I will have to eat my companion, but we'll see. I hope no.
Kind of like Survivor. Yeah. You want the real experience surviving on the island. Yeah. So when I talked to the owner of this restaurant, who's also the owner of the hostel that we stay at currently, he said this business is relatively new. There weren't a lot of foreigners coming to Cebu and to the Philippines in general up until like 2016 and beyond. So tourism is actually relatively new in this country, which is not true of, Thailand or Vietnam. So they have colonial history, but they don't necessarily have like a really defined route for the tourists. Like that area is still developing, I would say, for this country.
Yeah. And what to add? Nothing to add, to be honest.
Oh, and another interesting thing about the Philippines is they call you sir.
Yeah.
Everybody calls you sir. Like when you're at the hotel, when you're at the restaurant. Is there another place that does that? I can't remember any other place that like everyone calls you sir.
But it's not only because you are tourists or foreigners. They call Filipino people also call each other sir, boss.
Yeah.
If it's a girl like ati, elder sister, or mom. So cute. Hey, mom.
Yeah, it's very casual. All right. Anything else? Any other cultural differences? We got into a lot of topics here. I have one like closing question for you, but before I give you that one, anything else that you want to add about Filipino culture?
So many guapa morena girls. It means beautiful girls, but with dark color style, yeah, dark skin. But yeah, and another thing about Filipino culture I want to add: so many dark skin girls want to be white. It's so weird. They eat something, they drink something, they put something in their skin. They usually use umbrellas. In my city, we use it because of rains. Here, because of the sun.
Yeah, me too.
It's so weird. Like white people, white girls in Russia want to be dark. Dark girls in Philippines want to be white. Curly hair girls want to be straight. Everything.
Yeah. So when I go to the store to buy some like lotion,
Yeah.
I can't find any lotion that's not whitening cream. Like every lotion is advertising whitening.
Yeah.
It'll say like in 7 days you'll be this much whiter if you use this cream.
You don't use that.
Yeah, I don't need that at all. I'm trying to get a bit darker right now.
Yeah.
And not the burnt type of dark, but I'm mostly just getting redder, more red, not tan. But yeah, so that's a big cultural difference. And I know it's like that too in like Korea and Japan. But here, yeah, it's with the umbrellas as well. In my country, it rains a lot too, or at least in Michigan. So yeah, we're definitely only using the umbrellas for rain. But I think most like Filipinos they leave the house with an umbrella like every
Yeah.
day.
Really?
And it doesn't rain a lot right now. This is like it's not been raining hardly at all.
Yeah, and for us, for tourists, sometimes it's complicated because it's not a racism, it's a real thing. Filipino people mostly are smaller than European. So when you go with your umbrella like this, my mouth it's in the same level as your umbrella. Sometimes my eyes, and I need to do like, oh, one umbrella, another one, op.
I am constantly dodging umbrellas out here. Yeah, and they're like right at eye level.
Yeah, we need to start some company to prove Filipino people, especially Filipino girls, that they don't need to be white.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave your umbrella at home.
Yes.
You can
Love yourself.
my umbrella, Ella, eh.
Closing with some Rihanna,
Yeah.
So, all right, my final question is just like, what's going to happen after this? So you were potentially going to be conscripted at home in Russia. Now you start this new journey here in the Philippines, but that can't last forever. The war can't last forever. What comes next after the Philippines, or even just here in the next few months?
No, I think I will be here at least 1 year. We will see. Like for now, I am so in love with summer in my city, in my hometown city. It's only seasons that I like, to be honest. I'm so in love and I want to go there so much, but I cannot. So we're just enjoying our time here. And as you mentioned before, it can last forever. It can last for 1 year, for 5 years, because that guy who is doing that, he knows that he is already defeated. So for him, the only mission is to make it longer and longer. And unfortunately, he has that power and money and everything. So we will see. We will see what's going on. We don't have any plans. We live only today.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Thank you for watching this interview. This isn't the type of content I do normally, but Ivan's just a fascinating person, and I wanted to kind of share my thoughts and his thoughts, both on like Filipino culture and his perspective as a Russian right now in this era. So if you like this type of content, subscribe, like this video, and comment your perspective on the Ukrainian-Russian conflict or your perspective on the Filipino culture, because both these two topics are fascinating for me right now. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.